Hey, what's up and welcome back. This video is going to be a devlog covering the new features and changes in build 21. This is going to be a smaller update than usual for this type of video just because build 21 and the last month has been very crazy for me in other ways. So this will be a limited feature set, but there is lots of interesting developments to tell you about coming up for build 1.1, which is actually going to be a major version bump, and that's coming up towards the end of the year, and I'll be talking about that in a whole different video coming later this week, so stay tuned for that. Alright, so diving right in, there's one really cool thing that's been added, or at least improved, in 21, and that is the undo functionality in the editor tab. Up until this point, we've pretty much had partial functionality where you could undo attribute changes, but you couldn't really undo things like parenting changes and sub-object data, which is really important for fixtures. So let me go ahead and create a couple objects here and show you what's going on. Let's make it primitive. Let's duplicate this. Maybe we select these, move them. We duplicate again, maybe delete a couple, and we can move a couple more. And if we go over here to Tools and click Undo, you'll see that we go ahead and step back through these correctly. This was working last time, but it had a few issues with some of these edge cases, which I think have now been squashed. But the really cool thing is we can do this with fixtures as well. So if I go in here and I just add a couple hulls, like so, and we'll add a few picks as well. So here we have this little fixture object, and we can rotate this, we can duplicate this as you would expect normally. We can even go in here and grab these hulls and move them. Do the same thing for this one, maybe do it with the picks. And once we've done that, we can go over here and click undo, and things will step back through their necessary steps to get back to where they were. This even works while you're in Pix mode. So if you're over here moving objects, or Pix in this case, and you want to undo, you now have that ability here in Pix mode and hull mode as well. And that will actually undo object level transforms as well, so you got to be careful to only undo as far as you were when you were in Pix mode to start with. Alright, so that is the undo button. Simple feature, everything has it, but you don't realize you miss it till you don't have it, honestly. Okay, so the next thing we have is the global UI messaging system. So I've been slowly implementing a new type of UI drawing system where it makes sense. In GeoPix, the biggest and most noticeable place that was implemented was over here in the UI panels on the left and right side of the GUI. These are pretty much everywhere in GeoPix, and now these are driven by CSS, JavaScript, HTML, and it's done on a different thread, as I've mentioned before too, so this is very fast, and it's multi-threaded, so it makes better use of a multi-core system and leaves more of that central thread for GeoPix to do its other work. So, in addition to that, now I've got this overlay system that kind of fits over top of this entire window, and this is the messaging system. Same as we had before, where you had the little mouse over icons here. They're a little bit outdated looking, and now you have a single icon, and it's got a number here that tells you how many errors or messages you have, and if you click on this, it's going to refresh your errors if you would close them out. So right now we just have the default message here, which means we don't have a projector. Add a projector if we wanted to. Also, if we add a fixture, you'll see that you get a warning that says fixture 1 contains no valid chan order, and this error is not new, but it's just new how it's presented to you. So let's go ahead and add a couple picks here, and let's duplicate this fixture, move it over, and let's actually set the offset back, so now we have an actual error. Let's go ahead and clear the chan order. So here's an example of 3 different levels of error message, right? And I'm sure you've seen ones like this before where you have a bunch of red overlap messages. Well, these are still here. You've got your blue, which is notices, you got yellow, which is warnings, and red, which is errors that you need to fix those. And I've just changed this to be kind of a rectangular notification bar type of thing. We're all used to seeing notifications on our phones, so I thought this would be a nice, useful, very visible way of presenting that information to you. And what's more is you can kind of cancel some of these and get them out of the way temporarily. It's obviously not recommended that you ignore these for long, but you can do that if they're in your way. And of course, as you fix and change errors every time the error set changes, you'll kind of get a refresh automatically. If you don't have any way to refresh it easily, you can go down here, like I said, in the bottom right, and you'll see that we have now it's flashing red, right? It's flashing the color of your most elevated message, and it's also got a number here that says you got 3 messages in queue. So that's just basically the new system, and this will basically show up anywhere in the UI. It's a global widget, so it's laying on top of everything. Not in the settings though. And that's all there is to say about that. It's going to be pretty much seamless with how it worked before. Nothing new, just the way it looks is different, and the way it works is a little different too. Okay. Moving down, optimizations. So the thing I just showed you with the global UI messaging system, that has improved performance quite a bit in a few areas. This is something you would only notice maybe on mid to lower end computers. You'll also see that we have the shift and the control and the hotkey preview system down here in the bottom right. So that's kind of useful. It's a little bit smaller and a little bit more aesthetically nice, and it's built into this global messaging system, so it's all kind of going into one thread, hence the performance optimizations. Alright, so changes. We've upgraded the core to Touch Designer 185.80. If you are on the very latest, as of right now, there's one version newer than this. I would really recommend rolling back, and you may have to roll back by installing GeoPix from scratch with the installer. This newest version of Touch that's out right now does have, I think, an upgraded version of Python, which has not been tested in the slightest. Probably will be problematic in terms of errors and compatibility, so I'll be looking at that when I get some time, but for now just stick with that build. Alright, so bugs. There was a simple but annoying bug where every time you added a hull or a pix manually, you'd have to kind of click twice after you moved the camera, so that's been fixed. There was an issue with lights that were not, that was preventing them from casting light into the scene, so I'll show you this now. It works, of course, at the moment, but what happened before, if you had some geometry and you had a light, you would normally see both the volume cone and the light being projected out of this object. So if I turn down the volume cone, you see that we still have some light hitting that box. Before, that light was actually not coming out and you only had the volume cone visible. So that's now been fixed. Keep in mind that this light system with the RGB pan tilt linkage, this is all going out the window and this is getting redone. I'm going to be talking about that in the video coming later this week, but it's a very, very exciting improvement to GeoPix, and the lights objects are still going to be here, and I'm not quite sure what functionality I'm going to scrap, but they'll absolutely be there for you to position and statically light your scenes if that's something you want to do. So okay, moving on, we have had a couple more bugs with the Advotech and Pixel Node Wizards, and there's still a few more bugs here to work out, so keep in mind if you're having issues with this, please let me know what you can do to recreate those bugs, because I'm having issues recreating them, and it would be great to have some feedback from you guys on that to get it fixed. There was a few issues with the audio channels not showing up in the Audio Manager's UI picker, so that's been fixed. In case you don't know, the Audio Manager is a relatively new window here that lets you source in audio from an audio device attached to your computer, USB or whatever, and basically these, at the moment, 4 inputs and 1 output. You can forget about the output, that's a topic for another time, but the inputs can be sourced through the audio capture node category. You have inputs 1 through 4. So if you turn on inputs 1, and let's see if I can have two devices. All right, so I'm tapping my microphone. You can see that we're getting signals coming in. That's going to bring in data from this input. So it's a global audio management system, and then you can source those global inputs through the I/O tab and use them in different ways. All right, so continuing onwards. Some more audio manager fixes. So there was a bug when you inserted a pix between two selected picks. There was an issue where it didn't actually take on the values of its neighbor. So let me go and show you what that is about. So if I make a fixture and I hop into pix mode and I add just simply two picks like this, and if I select these two, I can do insert picks between selected. Previously, this new pix that was added didn't have all the correct parameters being added in the fixture editor. Normally you can go over here and you can see ranges and other things like channels and masks. This was being set with the range of 0 and 0, so it appeared to be black whenever you added a pixel and shown some content on it, but that's actually just because the ranges were all 0. Anyways, that's been fixed, and when you add things that way, they should show up correctly. Okay, and the very last thing here to note, there was a backend limitation causing connectors past 100 to not display correctly. So if you had that many nodes in your I/O tab, and you might have noticed some connectors were not showing, so that's been fixed. And that pretty much does it for this update. I know it's a short one. 21 will probably be updated once or twice more before the end of the week, and then after that you can start looking forwards to a very slow rollout to the next experimental. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a 22 or go straight to 1.1, but either way the next batch of changes are going to be significant, and they're going to be targeting some of the workflow issues and pain points that users have been experiencing, and just going to make things easier to use, more intuitive, and just faster, generally speaking, workflow-wise. So that's for this video. Thanks for watching, and if you've got any questions or any suggestions, as always, please drop them in a email and send them my way. So thank you very much.